thing. So Satish, we are very grateful for your presence as well. All right. Marcy Blackman is a former scholarship basketball player and a 3-year starter at point guard at San Diego State University. She was invited to try out for the United States Olympic women's basketball team. And if I'm not mistaken, that would have been, if you don't mind my identifying the team, the 1984 team.
No, it was actually the 1980 team that didn't go.
Oh, okay, because of the boycott, the Soviet boycott. All right. The games in Moscow, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure, but still, she was in that era of the Cheryl Miller years. That was the years, the early '80s were the years that put women's basketball on the map. And so
we were in the same conference, and so I got to play them fairly regularly.
And worked out, I think, your summer programs and all of
yeah,
that.
Yeah, we played summer league on the same team, and Cynthia Cooper and I were the backcourt on the Olympic Development League team that were playing.
Glad I never ran into them sisters on the court. Fabulous experience. I'm enjoying just introducing these people. This is nice. So, her first novel, Po Man's Child. Can you put up the web page there? Novel titled Po Man's Child from 1999 received the American Library Association's Stonewall Award for Best LGBT Fiction and the Firecracker Alternative Book Award for Best Fiction. She was an original member of the touring spoken word troupe Sister Spit. Blackman also co-edited the groundbreaking 1994 anthology Beyond Definition, New Writing from Gay and Lesbian San Francisco. In 2011, Blackman authored her first nonfiction title, Bike NYC, The Cyclist's Guide to New York City. And that tells you what she's doing to stay so fit these days. Sometimes I'm out there running. You'll see her on the course, and then I see she's going by with these tours of people, and I mean, she's really holding court. Just wonderful to experience. You on a bicycle. It's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing. Blackman's second novel is just in the last month and a half, I believe, just published and is available on pre-order from Water Street Press Books.
The ebook version. The print version doesn't come out until June 1st.
All right. Get in on the ground floor. And for more information, this is, I love that picture. That's just a great shot. And you see Poor Man's Child in tradition, the covers there. Can you drop it down just a little, Jerome? So you can, right there, that's good. The opening of Poor Man's Child, I'm still like recovering from it. It's pretty intense. not sure how I'm doing. It really packs a punch. So check out this good sister's work. So again, Marcy, thank you for being here. Very, very grateful for your presence. Cecil Harris graduated summa cum laude from Fordham University. Oh lordy, from summa cum laude from Fordham University with a degree in media studies. He's written on sports for numerous daily newspapers: Gannett, the New York Post, the New York Times, Newsday, News and Observer, the Indianapolis Star, the Albany Associated Press up in Albany Bureau, magazines including the Sporting News, the Hockey News, New York Runner, This Running Town, and Westchester. By the way, New York Runner is sort of how we got Cecil here, because Professor Matthew Corcoran was supposed to be on this panel. He's a former ITF tennis player and in the English department here, and he's also a 3-hour marathoner and really a great athlete. He had to bail out, and the one rule is if you got to bail out of a panel, you got to find somebody to take your place, right? So and God bless him for finding Cecil Harris. And Cecil, I believe, met Matthew doing an article for New York Runner. Am I right about that? Yeah. So that was the connection there. He's worked for Major League Baseball, for New York Roadrunners, the organizers of the New York City Marathon. He currently works as a multimedia writer at Adelphi University up the road there. He's the author of 3 books, Breaking the Ice. These 3 books are right here, by the way, and maybe at the Q&A we'll pass them around so you all can get a visual. Breaking the Ice, The Black Experience in Professional Hockey. It's like there was a black experience in professional hockey. Indeed, the cover of the book is striking. It's a great picture. Also called a Yankees My Daddy, Reflections on Baseball, Race, and Family. All right, and Charging the Net, A History of Blacks in Tennis from Althea Gibson and Arthur Ashe to the Williams Sisters. Charging the Net was a New York Times Editor's Choice selection in 2007. And for Breaking the Ice, he received the Sun God Award for outstanding research from the Society of North American Historians and Researchers. He also contributed a chapter on blacks in professional tennis to the anthology African Americans in Popular Culture, edited by Dr. Todd Boyd of USC, University of Southern California. Cecil earned awards as a New York Yankees beat writer for Gannett. During that time, he covered Major League Baseball from spring training in February through the World Series in October. Was that one of their World Series, one of the ones they won, by the way?
96 and 98, I was there for both.
Yeah, they won all three. All right, so they won those consecutively. That's fantastic. Any journalists in here, you should really talk to him. He has covered other major events, including the '96 Summer Olympics. In the discussion now because of the thing in Boston, right? You remember the Atlanta Games where I think his name was Richard Jewell, detonated a bomb in Olympic Park there. Yeah, so this man was there. The NBA Finals, which ones?
The Knicks against the Rockets in 1994.
The OJ.
The Magic in 95.
That was the OJ, the 94.
That's right.
When OJ took that ride up the Santa Monica Freeway.
Yeah, later.
All right. Very good. Very good. Also covered the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, the Orange Bowl College Football Game, the U.S. Open Tennis Championships, World Championship Boxing, the New York City Marathon, and the Milrose Games. Whew. He will run his first New York City Marathon on November 3, 2013. And he is local here. He lives in Yonkers, New York. I'll see you there, by the way. I'll be running as well.
You'll be at the finish line before me.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. So thank you for being here. Finally, and then we'll get cracking. I am an assistant professor of English here at York College. I specialize in African American literature and Native American literature. I'm also the director of the African American Resource Center, the room where you are right now. I got a BA from Columbia University. My PhD is from Princeton University. That's right. I'm one of them educated MFs. 2 Ivy League degrees. I currently have 2 book manuscripts that are circulating at academic presses. The first one is titled Malcolm's Mood Indigo, a theodicy of literary contests. What I'm doing there, it's a theory of African American spiritual autobiography through the lens of the autobiography of Malcolm X. The second book is called Malcolm X and the Battle for the Birth Site. And what I'm doing there, it's a book that explores the emerging areas of legacy and memory studies, analyzing some of the history of how the black people of Omaha, Nebraska, which is Malcolm's hometown, are fighting to appropriately honor Malcolm's legacy. So those are the 2 book projects I got circulating out there. I played baseball and basketball at Columbia University and then played briefly in the minor leagues in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. I was also a minor league umpire for a couple of years. And today I try to stay fit by running. The New York City half marathon last month was my 58th half marathon that I've completed. And I'm training to run my 12th marathon in November, the same race that Cecil is running. We'll both be there on November 3rd. One thing about when you run marathons and you run into another marathoner, you just talk about that. You just anybody else gets annoyed with you because that's all you can talk about ad nauseum. So that is your panel. All right. Please, Michelle Gregory. We'll go. Michelle, Satish, Marcy, Cecil, and then myself. Okay. Come on in, please. Please go back to the.
I actually might stand up, that's okay.
By all means.
I'm supposed to sing, right? Very good. Again, many thanks to Michael and the panelists for bringing this event today. Really and deeply grateful to you for this, and for all of you for coming. Thank you all very much. And so what I'm going to speak about today is the use of sports in a non-sport environment like the workplace, and how this use of sports at work constructs racial and even gender and sexual dominance, privilege, and opportunity. But before even turning to the workplace, and Michael and certainly and others alluded to this, it never hurts to point out how prevalent the intersections of sport, race, racism, gender, and sexuality actually are. For example, media commentaries and representation of black female athletes often illustrate their problematic gender and race status. Accounts of Venus and Serena Williams, as you mentioned earlier, their experiences of racism, and of course, Don Imus's famous quote referring to the predominantly black female basketball players at Rutgers as, quote, nappy-headed hoes. 10 years after the inception of the Women's National Basketball Association, although 63% of the players are black, only 15% of the head coaches are ethnic minorities. And that is down from 32% in 2004. These figures certainly bring back gender into any discourse of inequality in sports. And in addition, non-normative values attributed to gender, racial, and sexual minorities are used all the time in sports. And just recently, as Michael referred to, Mike Rice, who is the head of the men's Rutgers basketball team, video surfaced showing him using homophobic language to bully and to taunt his players. But given that athletic arenas are spaces where issues involving race and even gender and sexuality are very common, a key question for me is whether employees in the workplace, especially corporations, whether they use sports to construct workplace narratives of competency and domination. And specifically, in looking at white male-dominated organizations, how do these men who associate sports with their workplace identities and actions perpetuate beliefs about their domination and superiority over other marked groups, such as women, ethnic minorities, gays and lesbians, and bisexuals? This question is particularly important to me, especially when I think about black men in the workplace, given the visibility and success of many African American athletes. And despite the high profile, bless you, of professional and collegiate African American male athletes, football, basketball, the success of Tiger Woods, Hispanic basketball players and boxers, the presence of senior level ethnic minority executives in the workplace is almost absent. In fact, Margaret Kirsten notes that 95% of top executive jobs in America belong to white men. Although there may be very few black men in highly skilled professional jobs in the corporate world, the representation of black men in the media, of course, is quite visible. And many notable representations of black men often frame them as athletes, criminals, and rap artists, physically menacing by hypersexual men who pose a constant danger to wider, that might be seen as white society. In the article, Blackballed, Basketball and Representations of the Black Male Athlete, Linda Tucker suggests that even famous professional black male athletes, like basketball players, are constructed as the other in the media, and even off the court, and their so-called black man marking follows them whether they're on the basketball court or any other public arena. My own interest in this area came about because I spent 10 years working for 3 of the largest corporations in the world. And I also lived for many years in the UK, where I also examined this actually same issue. In the corporations in this country, in 3 of the divisions I worked in, I was the only African American in these divisions. And in one, the only woman and also ethnic minority. And I started to observe that although there was an absence of black men in the workplace, some of my white male colleagues made references to and even discussed specifically black male athletes. Some of my white male colleagues expressed great admiration for the athletic exploits of certain African American athletes, while others referred to certain black male athletes to express negative attitudes and contemptuous beliefs about black men in general. I sometimes observed that certain black male athletes were used as a metaphor to symbolize uneducated, aggressive, sexually promiscuous, and criminal behavior. In the article, Darwin's Athletes, How Sport Has Damaged Black America and Preserved the Myth of Race, the author, John Hoberman, suggests that there is a dangerous twining of the violent black man with the sensational black male athlete. I sometimes found that workplace discussions occasionally uphold certain black male athletes as the standard bearer of, quote, the ideal black, or the good Negro, who, as Kenneth Shropshire argues in deconstructing the NBA, that these sorts of blacks do not question racial injustice, and they appear to convey, and they are easy to control and are, quote, blackless, and therefore they do not threaten whites. For instance, I once overheard a group of male and female white colleagues discuss how blacks were having too many children and living on welfare. And one colleague asked, quote, if blacks were going to have so many children,